Tasmania Talks with Mike O'Loughlin, weekday mornings from 9.
To Gavin Pearce. Gavin, good morning.
Well, g'day to you from the northwest coast, Mike.
Absolutely. What a beautiful day. First day of summer, loving it.
We're having a terrific spring. Farmers are pleased and the agri-industry is looking very promising this season.
It does look good. Speaking of promising, how was the jobs fair? You had, 439 jobs, 21 apprenticeships and traineeships. We spoke about it yesterday with those organising it, and I'm thrilled it was at the Burnie Arts and Function Centre. I just want to be thrilled with some good results. So what have you got for me, Gavin? Did we get some jobs out of there?
We did, and we matched a lot of job seekers to employers, and vice versa. So it was a great turn. It's the second one that I've conducted in the electorate of Braddon. So we did one in Devonport a few months ago. That was a huge, roaring success, and off the back of that, we've rolled that out into Burnie yesterday, which again, I haven't seen the numbers come in yet. But 439 jobs plus opportunities plus all that information that employers need to give to job seekers. I thought it was a great atmosphere, and couldn't speak highly enough about James McCormack and the great team and the job that they did yesterday.
Actually, it was great to speak to them. But tell me, because as I spoke yesterday, it was not just those looking for their first job. It was those that perhaps wanted to change from 18 years to 68 years or thereabouts. Did you notice there were a few that were thinking of changing positions, or those people perhaps in a slightly older age group looking for work?
Yeah, I did, Mike, and it's interesting you say that. I made the comment when I did my opening speech, and I said I encourage young job seekers to aim a little higher than what they think that they possibly could achieve. Bite off more than you can chew, and chew fairly hard, and you'll find that most likely you'll have the skills, and if you've got that determination, then that will see you through. So. A lot of it's changed. COVID shifted the landscape, industry shifting the landscape. The fact that we've got more jobs basically than we've got, people to fill those jobs. It's a completely different world that we live in now to say even a couple of years ago.
Oh, look, it's it's positively different. I can't believe it's nearly 2 years with this pandemic. And that's been crazy. But you had 44 exhibitors, which is an amazing amount of people at the Burnie Arts and Function Centre. 44 exhibitors.
Yeah, we did. Spoke with most of them, and I'd like to encourage. I want to run these things more often, Mike. I want to encourage this to be, probably every quarter. I'd like to see one conducted, and I'd like to open that up to more employers. So I've heard from the police this morning, from the recruiting part of the inspector from down in Hobart there, Adrian Chadbolt, and he said that next time he would like to get a stand at this jobs fair.
Excellent.
Because he's got there's probably scope on the northwest coast for people that are interested in policing. Great career. We need them, and I think as these things go on, these jobs fairs go on, we're going to see more and more both employers and employees, job seekers, coming to the fore.
Well, we do need them, don't we? Especially for like teaching, for example, healthcare. There's a lot of that, isn't there? We're desperate.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And it's important too, as a government, that we have the foresight and we use those demographics that we so desperately need to apply to the focus on jobs. So we've seen that with UTAS and the rollout of courses that they've had, particularly on the Burnie campus, the Cradle Coast campus of UTAS, and they've designed their courses around the projected job needs in the future. So finally, we're starting to see a bit of common sense. Finally, we're seeing, what the jobs are going to be, matching the courses and matching the job seekers to those courses. So we're on the right track. We just need to do more of it, Mike.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think they're a wonderful idea, those, honestly, the jobs fairs. Excellent. Tell me, the Morrison government gave you a lazy $6 million, which you then gave to the Dulverton Waste Management to help transform their recycling facility in Latrobe. Now, recycling is a word a lot of people are using lately.
It is, and we live in a world where there's a lot of noise around looking after the environment, and I, for one, believe in that very strongly. As a farmer, I'm very cognizant of the fact that, if we don't look after our planet, then we won't have a next generation. We've got to leave it in a better place than we found it. We had a real problem on the north, particularly the north of the state, like in the fact that a lot of this green waste, lawn clippings, waste from farming, agricultural pursuits, was just being put into landfill. And the numbers that were coming back, the scientific numbers were coming back, but that accounted for up to 56% of greenhouse gases, methane and the like, into the atmosphere. So Dulverton Waste Management, Matt Gretzky up there, that they probably lead the world when it comes to the application of science around waste management. And they wanted to do a closed-loop organic waste facility that turned all this, ordinarily landfill, into high-value compost. And I got right behind it. I've been fighting this for 12, 18 months. And I was so pleased when the federal government come to the floor with $6 million, backed in with $3 million from the state government. And that means that we can turn all that waste into high-quality compost for the north of the state.
And also, apparently all closed in, which is interesting. I believe Dulverton, they're proposing to transform their existing open-air compost system into that enclosed, fully controlled environment, which removes odours, safely process leachate and deliver greater capacity and capabilities, I was reading, to manage Tasmania's future. I mean, I think it's a great idea, anything. I mean, to have compost. I didn't realise it was all of that organic waste ending up in landfill. I didn't realise it was that much.
Yeah, and Matt Gretzky up there that runs Dulverton, he's like the Elon Musk of organic waste. This guy, he's a terrific fellow. He's very scientific driven, and he understands the market and the closed loop that we need to have when it comes to recycling. That high quality compost that I talked about, turning that into this high quality product. We'll go into the agricultural sector, we'll go into the horticultural sector, and with our bent, with our push towards reducing carbon footprint for pursuits like agriculture, it will allow farmers to increase the organic matter in their topsoil and in turn reduce the amount of water and synthetic fertilisers that they need. It'll also aid in holding carbon in the topsoil. And that, again, is another income source when it comes to carbon sequestration credits that we've got, particularly focused, in the dairy, beef and cropping industry.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? I also was reading the jobs. Like he's creating jobs there as well, Dulverton. So what is it, 92 construction jobs, underpinning 1,000 existing food manufacturing jobs, but then there's 4 to 5 ongoing positions, 20 to 25 indirect. So I mean, for the Northwest Coast, this is a tremendous.
It's a win-win-win.
Totally.
Thing. And you look down at the downstream benefits, Mike, and I've already touched on the benefits it has to the agricultural sector, but then again, the agricultural sector will grow and blossom and bloom and develop due to the fact that they've got this organic matter in their topsoil. They're producing more, and they're doing it with an environmental perspective. They're doing it with an outcome that actually achieves an environmental benefit. So I think it's win-win-win with this one, and I'm very proud of that $6 million that we could put into Dulverton.
Yeah, well done to Dulverton Waste Management, of course, as Matt and you spoke about. Good news, we'll probably hear a lot more about that. Tell me, Gab, about Hope in a Suitcase. You actually gave a speech to Parliament about this.
Yeah, well, this is a terrific initiative, Hope in a Suitcase. And what it is, they've got a mission. They provide, when children are often displaced from, domestic violence situations and the like, they often leave very quickly. And we've seen, anecdotal evidence and stories of this. But what Hope in a Suitcase does is they provide a little suitcase filled with essential items like toiletries and clothing something for the kids to cuddle and maybe a toy and a blanket.
Oh, lovely.
But it just lets them know that people care for these kids. And I just want to reinforce, just want to remind everybody that as we get to Christmas, there are a lot of families that do it tough, and we see marriage breakups, we see family domestic violence issues, police. Heaven only knows that the domestic circumstance that they're involved in every day. But at the end of that, are the innocent ones, are those children. And, I just can't speak highly enough for Hope in a Suitcase and the great work that they do and continue to do. And I'd like everybody to get behind this, because those kids are important and they need hope, Mike. So I think that's the greatest gift that we can give over Christmas. And
they rely upon donations from the public to undertake their important work, I believe. How can people help?
My office, again, we've put our hand up and we've said that we'll be a collection agency for them, as has, I'm pretty sure, Jeremy Rockcliffe's office was on the same boat, Roger Yench's office. But if you get hold of my office particularly, we'll make sure that your donations get to the right place, into Hope in a Suitcase. And I really believe that this is a great charity and a great cause.
They've got a Facebook page too, and I know it's Rachel's running it, the coordinator for the new to Tasmania not-for-profit charity Hope in a Suitcase. It's worth having a read if anyone's listening. Go to their Facebook page, Hope in a Suitcase Australia. So incredibly important, and yet who'd have thought? Just a suitcase, but so simple, but giving the kids their own suitcase with essential items. I think it's just lovely.
No, terrific.
And so they can, run, if they can help out in any way, just go to those particular offices. And, I think Gav, you could drop off, if it's toiletries, you buy something extra, that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. But really what they're doing, I mean, Rachel Croswell runs this, and Rachel understands exactly what they need. So that what they really need is money. Yeah. That's what they're really after, because they do it on the smell of an oily rag, like many charities.
Yeah.
And, a big shout out to all our charities, particularly as we lead into Christmas, because a lot of families do it damn tough, Mike, over Christmas.
Yeah, they do. And I think there's a lot of charities that are just helping, and they're all putting out and doing such good work. Listen, I'm a bit for this. I quite like the idea of buying back the farm, Gav. Foreign ownership rates in Circular Head apparently are some of the highest in the nation. But you've been out there having a bit of a shove?
Yeah, and as a farmer myself, I get this 100% loud and clear. So what we're seeing is the anecdotal numbers are coming back at around about 60% of the milk production in Circular Head is owned by foreign ownership. You look at the likes of Van Milk down there, Chinese owned, and the like. It's our largest dairy in the state. What we've seen, and I've been behind this guy he started this company, this organisation in 2014. His name's Stephen Fisher, and along with a great team that he's got, he's trying to get our next generation of farmers going, trying to get them onto farm ownership and farm management, put them on the right track so that one day they'll own their own farm. And it's called Circular Head Farms. It's basically a corporate, but it's a corporate dairy that gives back to our own organic, when I say organic, I mean Tasmanian, Tasmanian farmers. And the way they do that is they'll go to private capital raising. So he'll ask for investors that are from basically Tasmania that just want to invest in his company. He'll get some young people, in their 20s, maybe a young married couple that doesn't have the capital to buy their own farm because, the cost of farming, we're looking at now $25,000, $30,000 a hectare. That works out around about $13,000 an acre. You put in, when you factor in the cost of cow ownership, you're looking at up to $3,000, sometimes more, per cow. These farmers have got to have $1 million worth of equipment. It just goes on, and it's prohibitive for young people particularly when they haven't got the credit rating to get that access to capital in order to buy into the farm.
Well, it's crucial we provide that pathway, isn't it?
Yeah. So what Steve and Circular Head Farms do is they say, okay, you can work under our umbrella, under our capital raising, and you can work for us, with us, as a share farmer. And what he firstly does is he tries to encourage them to own their own herd of cows that obviously go on someone else's farm. And eventually they'll build up enough equity in those cows to buy maybe a runoff block, a small farm, and then that will lead to complete farm ownership over many years. But as well as that, he's also aggregating the benefits that farming together means. And we know that farming together and that cooperative model, it means that he can buy fertiliser, at an aggregated rate so that scale of purchase can reduce the per unit cost. It also mitigates he's got one vet that does the whole lot. They've got 11 farms. They've got 4,200 acres. They've got 8,500 milking cows. This is a big organisation.
Absolutely.
And the scale of it, Mike, means that we can provide those benefits back to these young farmers that he's trying to get going.
So if they want to find out more, they Gav, it's Circular Head Farms?
Circular Head Farms, yeah. Stephen and Karen Fisher. Paul Lambert's behind it. And have a look at young Cody Corpshop. He's a young farmer from Circular Head. I mean, the Corpshops are infamous down there. Well, synonymous with dairy farming. But here's a young bloke that now he's been in the system for a while. He owns his own cow herd, and he's been able to have a 40% stake in a farm now. So he's on the way to farm ownership, Mike. It's a great story. Look it up. It was on Landline on the weekend. It's on my Facebook site. Have a look at it, and I think you'd be impressed with the great work that Circular Head Farms and Stephen Fisher is doing down there.
And look, it does. It's and like I said, what a great pathway for young local farmers to secure their very first farm. Looks so necessary. So nice to hear.
Absolutely. And we want to grow. We want to grow that dairy industry. We feel that we can double that. 961 million litres, a record. We've seen a 13% growth in the last few years in the dairy industry in Tasmania. We think we can double that to 1.5 billion litres, but that's going to mean a lot more young people on farms and looking after that next generation. That next generation of farmers, Mike.
Indeed, I agree. Look, let's finish up with, housing shortage of high rents, etc. This is so ongoing, but I know the Northwest residents have been hit too with high rents again. We look at the cost of trying to buy a house nowadays, absolutely frightening. But I know state and federal governments have been asked to do more to address the housing crisis. But what are your thoughts? I mean, how can, in regard to the shortage, we've got social housing is pretty well non-existent.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone you talk to is in the same boat. Everyone you talk to nationally is in the same boat, and this is an international issue, Mike.
Absolutely.
It really is. And, the federal government with their 25,000 first home buyer scheme, and then the state government came in with that as well. So 45 grand that a young person could have from the government, both state and federal, to build or purchase their first home. But the trouble with that is, if the market doesn't release enough properties, enough homes, enough builds, enough blocks, in order to facilitate that, then it can't keep up with the government stimulus. So it's all very well and good to say, government should fix that and click their fingers, but it doesn't work like that. The market at the moment is really undersupplied and oversubscribed as so far as purchases are concerned. And I think we're going to see a shift in the next few years from people buying a second or third home for in investment reasons to people getting their own first home to own as home ownership. I think that needs to change. I think as governments we need to make sure that we're doing the best that we can do with local government with planning to ensure that we're opening up new pockets of land. It's not just social housing as well, Mike. It's the entire market. And I keep saying to them that if we open up, it's all right to say that we need the social, the social aspect of this, the bottom end of the market, but we've also got to look at the entire market. And when we start looking about industries, the worst thing sometimes that we can do is put our fingers in it as a government. I think industry needs to lead us out of this, but government has got a real role in making sure that these pockets of land and that planning, with local governments, that they've got sufficient blocks and sufficient developments, that we reduce red tape, that we encourage the opening up of pockets of land for development.
Certainly on the Christmas wish list. I know that the federal government moved to waive Tasmania's historic housing debt back in 2019. Now, that should have freed up a lot of public funds to be invested in more social housing.
Yeah, that's okay to have the funds, but you know yourself, Mike, and your listeners will appreciate this, that you can have all the money in the world, but if it doesn't, if the houses aren't there, then it's fruitless. We need to get back and start thinking, well, where is the block? And at the moment, the block is opening up and planning at the local government stages. And we see, I've got Circular Head down there. We mentioned Circular Head before. They need to attract families so that they've got enough people, enough families and workers to run these farms and advanced manufacturing and forestry and all the rest of it. But, they need to open up those developmental sort of areas in their planning scheme. We need to reduce the amount of embuggerance, red tape, and we need to reduce the times that we can get those DAs from planning stage through to trusses going up with builders there. So I think that's where my focus is going to be, is in the actual mechanics of this. And trying to get, and the other thing is trying to get a builder, Mike.
Yeah, I know how difficult it is at the moment. Tradies, builders and suppliers, not just the blocks or the houses, yeah.
Absolutely.
Gavin?
It's not a simple equation. There are many layers to this. It's like an onion, and, we've just got to get back to what we consider to be the impediments, the obstacles to growth. And, I think red tape's got a lot to do with it. We need to turn those DAs around quicker.
Oh, too right. Gavin, good to talk to you. Gavin Pearce, Federal Liberal member for Braddon, our regular chat.